Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. We are live. If you are watching the replay, I'm glad you're here with us as well. Today, we are continuing our verse by verse journey through Matthew 6. And just like yesterday, we parked at Matthew 6:25. We're going to do that again today because there's so much power in this verse here. And for some reason, we're not today streaming on TikTok, although we did yesterday. And I kept on saying, oh, we're not getting no comments on TikTok. We're not getting any comments. Lo and behold, I didn't realize we got I don't know, over 100 views on TikTok or comments on TikTok. So it's kind of crazy. I just can't see them. And it looks like I can't see him again. I don't think, but I'm going to try again. And so it's just amazing how this all works. And I'm trying to get it down, but I'll eventually get it down. But it's good to see you guys. It's good to have you. A lot of comments already. Thank you for chiming in. But like I said, we're going through Matthew 6:25. We're going to park there. So next Monday, we'll move on from verse 25. But yesterday, we began by talking about how Jesus says, therefore, do not worry. And we talked about how the word therefore was a continuation of everything. He said all that to say that what he's saying in verse 25 and beyond. But so we talked about that word, therefore, and how important it is. We talked about how worry, and that's what we really focused on yesterday, was worry. So if you're worried right now, if you're feeling that you're just panicking, you're feeling a lot of anxiety, well, this Bible study is for you. And I encourage you to look at yesterday's, obviously not right now, but look at yesterday's as well. Because worry, what it does, it divides you. There's a pulling inside of you, one going in one direction, the other part's going in another direction. And so what Jesus is doing here, he's not just addressing outward behavior, but he's really addressing the condition of our inner life. And so let's go ahead and read it. Matthew 6:25. And it says this, therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life. And we talked a lot about that yesterday. Life meaning suke in the Greek. What you will eat, what you will drink, nor about your body. What you'll put on is life, and we talked about that, is life, the suke, more than food, and the body more than clothing. So Jesus here talks about very specifically about a common needs or basic needs. And so yesterday we talked about, I specifically left off, or I want to go from what I specifically left off saying yesterday, is where Jesus is saying in this passage, part of what he's saying is no detail in our life, there's no detail in our life that is too small for God. And so I really, the Lord touched me big time when I was talking about that. And talking about there's no detail too small for God. So God really moved me on that part, because what I was talking about, and it started to move me, is that God lives in the ordinary. Our lives are important to God, even when it seems ordinary to us. The daily, the mundane is important to God. You take your kids to soccer practice is important to God. You going to work every day, commuting, do that commute is important to God. He's with us. And even in the reoccurring pressures of life, even in the what people would consider insignificant or the daily routine, God, it's important to God. And it's important. What Jesus is telling us here is important because Jesus is not mocking here people with needs. He's not making fun. Oh, why you worry about this? Isn't life what you will eat, what you drink, so on and so forth, what you'll wear? Isn't that? He's not bringing mockery to us. He's not disregarding or belittling hardship here. He's not acting like food and clothing don't matter, because they do matter. Obviously, you got to eat. It matters. You got to wear and clothe yourself. That matters. You've got to have shelter. That matters. Is food, is not life more than food and body more than clothing. Those things matter. But he's teaching us what he's teaching us, and I'll get to what he's teaching us in a moment. But a lot of comments here. Good morning, Elizabeth Courier. Good to see you. Andrea Kalisaya -G40. Hello, it's good to see you. Matrix Brothers, our bros, good to see you. A lot of different comments. Linda, it's good to see you at Linda Bishop 9616. It's good to see all you guys. Matrix Bros again, hello. And it's good to all see you. Thank you guys for chiming in. But what Jesus is teaching us here is that those things, what you're going to wear, what you're going to eat, all those things, the mundane things of the world, the things that may seem not that important, or they're very important, especially if you lack it. But those things that we think may not be important to God. Jesus is teaching that those things here they're never intended to become the master of who we are. These things are never intended to master us, to master our suke. We talked about that yesterday. So, and listen, church people, Israel had to learn the same lesson in the wilderness. The children of Israel in the wilderness. Last night was the first day of Passover, and so it reminds me a lot of what happened in Exodus. It reminds me a lot of what happened in the children of Israel back in Exodus. But in Exodus 16, the children of Israel worried about bread. For obvious reasons, they had no bread or nothing to eat, and they worried about it. So what did God do? He sent manna. They worried about water. I mean, isn't that a big concern if you don't have water? But God provided. You can look it up in Exodus. In Deuteronomy 8:3, it says that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. That means bread matters. Bread is important. What you eat is important, but it's not the ultimate. Bread is not the ultimate. Water matters, but water is not the ultimate. I know that you're like, well, that's crazy. How can you say that, right? We need water to live. Absolutely we do, but it's not the ultimate. Provision matters, but God is greater than provision, is what we need to understand here. Provision is important, but God is more important than that. And that is where Jesus is taking us. He's not denying our needs. He's not denying the fact that we need these basic provisions. He's not denying that. But he's denying the fact that those needs need to rule our heart, because they don't. I mean, look what happened with the widow in 1 Kings 17. Look what happened to the widow. She had no food, no more flour or oil. And there was a drought. And she tells Ezekiel, sorry. She tells Ezekiel, hey, Ezekiel goes, I need some food. Make me a loaf of bread. That's what the man of God asked. And she said, look, I'm at the last of the bin of flour, and I don't have any more flour. I don't have any more oil. I can't make any more bread. This is the last I'm going to make. She's saying, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go make my last meal so that my son and I could eat, and then we can die. And what did Ezekiel tell her? He said, go and I'm just trying to remember. It was Ezekiel. And he says, go and make a bread and bring it to me, and the bin of flour won't run dry. And she did. And God provided and provided and provided and provided, like he provided when there was 2 loaves and 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He provided. Because God's a provisional God. God is a God that will provide. And so we are not to make those basic things, food, water, or whatever, your bills, to make them paramount in our lives, to make them the masters of our soul, because we don't need to. And so Jesus is, again, in this passage, he's not denying the reality of our basic needs. He's denying the rights of those needs to rule our heart. A real need is real. He's not denying that, nor am I saying let's belittle that. A real need is real, but it is not our master. It is not to master us. So food is about survival. Clothing is about covering us. In many ways, even appearance. So Jesus is touching 2 huge areas of human anxiety. Survival, he's touching on that. Will I have enough? Appearance, will I be covered? Will I be okay? How do I look? How am I perceived? Those are 2 things people stress about. In the natural, rightly so. So what he's talking about then, 2,000 years ago, is applicable to us today. Not much has changed. People still worry about survival. Maybe that's why people they work so hard, because they're starting off by saying, oh, I'm going to provide for my family. I'm going to make sure we have a roof. And they go and they go and they go and they work and they work. But then it becomes beyond just surviving. It goes beyond just, it's like billionaires. They're still trying to make money. I mean, that's cool, right? But it's like, how much more money do you need, right? And so when it becomes an obsession, when it becomes more than just survival, it becomes a master in your life. That's what Jesus is talking about. And that's what he was saying then is applicable to us today. People still worry about appearance. They still worry about image. They still worry about status. They still worry about outward security. And so this verse is not outdated at all. It is incredibly accurate. It's incredibly current for today. So some people are tormented because they are worried that they will not have enough. And they're tormented by it. Some people are tormented because they don't look enough. They don't look like they're enough. Whatever. They have this identity issue. And you're tormented by it. And I'm not saying to not try to dress nice or. Thank you. Beautiful Flugate. My memory served me wrong. It was Elijah. Yeah, I knew it was Elijah after I started thinking about it, or I should have known it was Elijah, I should say that, because after that, Elijah goes to King Ahab and God uses him. Then he runs from not Bathsheba, but what is her name? The wife of Ahab, King Ahab. Anyways, and it's First Kings 17. I think that's what I said. First Kings 17. But thank you. I love that. See, that's why it's good to have live feedback because we're correcting it. What is Ahab's wife's name? This is killing me. Someone tell me what is King Ahab? I mean, I know it like I've known it for forever, but I just can't think of it right now. So let me know. Beautiful Gate -1. Who is that? Who's key? Gosh, what is it? But anyways, so Jesus is saying, I'm waiting for someone to tell me in the comments, that basic provision is important, but it's not more important than who's mastering your heart. So basically, he's also saying, I was talking about identity and how people get wrapped up in that, but because we are more people, the life, the suke that's in us is more than what we consume. There you go. People are chiming in now. Jezebel. I mean, I know that, but I just couldn't think of it. Jezebel, Ahab's wife. And Elijah ran from her, right? And then Elijah goes into the cave, and God wasn't in the earthquake. He wasn't in the mighty wind. He wasn't into this and that and the other. He was in the still small voice, and that was all Elijah. And so I should have known that. Oh, yeah, we got more people chiming in. Jezebel. I love it. I love it. Thank you, guys. But we are more than what we wear. We are more than what we can maintain outwardly. You are more than the visible things that people measure. More than that. You're more than that. But when we are consumed by it, oh, I know what I was saying. I was saying that we get caught up so much in identity, and that it begins to rule and control our life, and that's what the Lord doesn't want us to do. Is see, oh, I know what I was saying. I was saying if you could dress up nice, dress up. If I'm not saying to not beautify yourself, right? To look presentable, right? Do I come on here and I try to look presentable? I mean, some people were calling me all kinds of names the other day. They were calling me Kim Jong Young, and I don't know. I was losing it mentally, all this other stuff. But I try to look as presentable as I could, right? And sometimes it's not up to people's standards, but. So what I'm saying is if you could do that or do that, right? But your soul shouldn't be tied to your identity, and your soul and your suke should not be tied to your appearance and how you look. It just shouldn't. It can't. Because worry will shrink life down. Worry makes life small. Worry reduces you to survival mode. And God doesn't want us to live on survival mode. Worry reduces a person to managing needs, protecting an image, bracing for impact. And Jesus is saying life is more than that. Life is more than being worried about the way you look, the way the way God made you. Life is more than how you or others may perceive you to look. God is bigger than that. And he wants us to focus on the bigger things and what he wants, how he views us. God doesn't want you to view yourself the way the world views you. God doesn't view us the way society views us. He views us by our heart, our suke. He views us by what's really going on in the inside. If you've been following this series and you've been with us from verse 1 to now, you'll see that God is into the heart, not into appearance, not into the outward, not into what you want people to think of you. I had to deal with that. I had to wrestle with that. I had to wrestle with that especially at the first half of ministry, the first half of the church, of being a pastor. I know I'm going a little bit off target, but it's applicable to what I'm saying now. When I first started the church, I come from a mega church, mega ministry, and everything I did was mega. I visited mega churches. I did mega ministry within, I started a mega ministry. Everything I was about was mega. So I went to a small town. First of all, I didn't want to go there. God called me there. I went to a small town and I was like, ooh, this is not mega town, but I'm going to make a mega church here. I'm going to start a mega church. And so I was all about mega. There's nothing wrong with big. Okay. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with big, but what I'm saying is my heart was wrong. Because if the worship wasn't right, if it wasn't mega level, there was something wrong with our church. If there wasn't enough people coming through the doors, there's something wrong with my church. And it impacted my identity. It impacted me. Because my heart was in the wrong place. And so what I had to learn is to let go of that and not have that dictate my direction, my identity, my suke. I had to learn to say, is life not more important than a mega ministry? Because it is. And the Lord had to correct my thinking. And what he's doing in this passage is correcting our thinking. Because worry gets us in the reverse order. Worry, what it does, and I know I'm keep on going on worry, but I'm drilling this in because this is something we make applicable to our life in so many areas. Worry gets things in the reverse order. So worry will, like I mentioned, I think a couple of Bible studies ago, worry gets us putting the things that on the front burner that should be on the back burner, and those things on the back burner on the front burner. And it gets things twisted and gets things marked wrong. Because worry, the reason why I say that is because worry makes us think that food is everything. Gosh, I need to speed up. I'm just gonna go. I'm just go with how I feel right now. And because worry makes food like if it's everything. I mentioned this before, but we grew up poor. And we grew up without having food in the cupboards. Literally, nothing would be in the cupboards. Maybe some powdered milk, but no cereal. And in the fridge, literally nothing in the fridge. So I made food paramount in my life. I grew up making food paramount. So I just would hoard food. I would, being an adult and married and a husband and a father, I didn't realize till later, like, man, why do I do this? Why am I always kind of stressed and concerned that we're not going to have enough food? And I realized because I grew up that way. I grew up thinking we're going to run out. We don't have enough. I mean, I remember being, I think 4 or 5 years old and going to my sister's room because she's the oldest and crying in tears. 4 or 5 years old. Think about that. 4 or 5 years old. I remember going in there and in tears and thinking and telling her, she's like, why are you crying? I said, I'm hungry. There's nothing to eat, and my mom's trying to get money, and she's working at the time, and we had no food. And I go, I'm hungry. So she was working. She was only 15 at the time. I know that. So she's 8 years older than me. So yeah. So what is that? Anyways, I was a little bit older, 4 or 5 then, because she was 15, because she was working at the San Jose Berryessa flea market. So she had a little bit of money. I mean, probably, $20, but she was rich. And so she took me, we walked over to the restaurant down, mile or so. And she bought me a hamburger. I'll never forget that. But I made food paramount in my life. I made it more important than what it is. Yes, food's important according to Jesus. And yes, he's into us having our basic needs, but it shouldn't master my life. Food cannot master my life. Clothing can't master your life. Money is not everything. Your need is not everything, and it shouldn't master your life. Jesus is saying here, life is greater. Jesus is saying that what's inside of you is greater. Listen, if God gave you life, if God gave us life, like he says in the scripture, right? Is life not, you suke not more important? If God gave us life, you and me, right now, we're all living, we all have life. He did not do all of that, everything we've been through, everything we've gone through, and brought us to this point just to abandon us over lunch, to abandon us because over rent or over what you're going to wear or your clothing. God did not bring us this far to abandon us. The God who formed the body is not confused by the needs of the body. That's a whole different Bible study. But see, worry fixes his eyes on the need. Faith fixes its eyes on the giver. Man, there's been tons of comments, and I've just been in the zone here. So, oh man, we're running out of time. William Pipolari, good to see our regulars watching all the way from Lathrop, California. Thank you. Peter, good to see you. Pray more, worry less. Amen, amen. There's some crazy stuff here I'm not going to post. Linda, always appreciate you. God bless you, Pastor, for sharing where you were and what God has brought you through. Come on. 50-cent dollar. I thought you were absent today. I'm here. Good stuff. As always, keep it up. Listen, let me just end with a couple of thoughts here. Again, worry, I want to say this again. Worry fixes its eyes, if you will, or vision on the need, where faith fixes our eyes or our vision or the lamp of our body, right? On the giver, on the giver. I know I'm out of time, man. But what is trying to rule you? What is trying to rule you? I mean, I could probably spend another day on this, but yeah, I think we're going to move on. But thank you guys so much for joining me. We had a lot of people on today. So I really appreciate you guys coming on. And I don't even know if we streamed to TikTok or not, but I think we did not for some reason. But God bless you guys. We'll see you guys Monday, right? Next week's going to be a little bit of a tough week for me. So I may not stream every day. We'll see how that goes. But I'm going to try, or at least that's my goal. But we'll see, because, hey, have an awesome resurrection this Sunday, right? Have an awesome resurrection this Sunday. Jesus was raised from the dead, and we're going to celebrate that. So God bless you. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, I encourage you to do so. youtube.com/@YDW today. Subscribe today. I know we're on different platforms, different channels, but if you can subscribe to that channel, we would appreciate it. God bless you. We'll see you Monday.